Hello and good evening. It is Wednesday, October 27th, 2021, and we just finished watching the sixth episode of Survivor Season 41, titled Ready to Play Like a Lion, Not Like a Lamb. I'm Dave Mader, joined with my brother Jeff Mader and co-host Jaemeel Robinson, streaming here live on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch, or you might be listening to us on the audio version or wherever you get your audio podcast. Welcome, and we are going to break this episode down. And nobody got voted out tonight. Guys, nobody loses anybody in the draft. It's exciting. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm good. Ready to talk about how we have to earn that merge.
You got to earn it. You know? And you know what? It smells nice.
Smells really good.
And he loves
And I love the color.
The Red Tribe is born without a name still. But my hair's all going crazy.
Seriously, dude, come on.
I don't know. There was something going on with this. It wasn't
Wear a
quite...
hat, bro. No worries.
Okay.
Your hair looks fine, dude. Don't worry.
Jeff, do you think it looks
quirky.
okay?
You look quirky.
You got a bit of a cowlick going it looks like a tidal wave.
Yeah, it's Clark Kenting it, dude. Don't worry about it.
All right,
You're making it worse.
I know. I can't seem to make it better. Okay, guys, we're gonna talk about this episode. There's a lot to break down tonight. If you have a comment, make sure to leave it in the comment section. If you're watching us here live, we really like to know your take on this. This was a cliffhanger episode, guys. A to be continued.
Yeah, first of all, not a fan of that. A Survivor episode without a tribal council is no Survivor episode for me.
Yeah, I was a little bit let down by this too. Jaemeel, how did you feel about tonight?
I'm like, when's the second hour gonna start? And I'm like, wait, tough as nails? This is garbage.
Right. Yeah. Like it was.
Don't like it. Don't condone it. I condemn it, in fact. And if you say you do a 2-part episode, give me the second part right away. Yeah, I don't like this.
I'm like, okay, is this Thanksgiving? Like Thanksgiving, we usually get the bigger episode, or sorry, U.S. Thanksgiving, not the real Thanksgiving. That's already happened. Mm-hmm. Give me the 2 episodes back to back, or like a 90-minute episode. I was like, okay, things are getting exciting. Wait, what? It's over? What's happening? Jeff, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, Jeff.
You did it.
He did it.
He was doing it. Yeah, like I'm kind of with you guys on this. Like, you know, especially with the episode titles. You know how I am about titles. And this episode title was called Ready to Play Like a Lion. So next week should be called Ready to Play Like a Lion Part 2 or The Conclusion or something. But it's not. It's just called There's Gonna Be Blood. That's what next week's called. There's gonna be blood.
Yeah, don't name your episode after one of the best movies ever made. Not a good idea.
Is that what they're going for?
They never thought about it, Jeff. Come on.
That's true. They're not that smart.
They're not thinking about that. It's just somebody says it. Somebody says it in like their confessional, and they're like, that should be the name of the episode. Okay, like maybe we can break through this scene by scene and kind of just get your reactions and hear what we thought. And this whole episode started with the aftermath of last week's vote where Jeannie got voted out. Shan and Rickard, they ultimately stayed together here, and Shan chose to keep Rickard, the strategist, over the loyalist. But it seems like it's all for naught. It seems like these two don't really trust each other anymore over this like extra vote and her coming to him right before tribal and wanting it back for trust. And he's not too keen on her. She's not too keen on him after this. And they're on the eve of this merge, and she knows like she's got a Leanna that she's potentially going to work with. Did you guys like have a position on this, like Jaemeel, between Shan's argument and Rickard's argument, or were you sort of just observing?
The ultimate thing is like trust is something that is built over the course of tribal councils. We all know this for a fact, right? And they've had a multitude of them, and trust can be gained and lost. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the times when you're in a tribe, you are together because of the situations where you have aligned yourself. Once you get to a merge, you have a lot of options there. And like a lot of people look a lot more enticing than what you currently were dealing with for the last time. They're shiny and new. So do I think that they were long for this game as a duo? Absolutely not. But the good thing is what was broken can be mended again. And if things turn out badly, they can always, come back into each other's graces. So
Shan is a bully.
She is.
She's a bully of a Survivor player. And you know what? It does work in this game, so I can't completely knock her. Ricard is an idiot. Don't give Rebecca a vote. What are you doing? Stupid. Like, it keeps working for her. I agree, Mary. I really don't like her either. She really rubs me the wrong way. She's given me there was a player,
Vanessa Russo is one you keep comparing her to.
Yeah, she's Vanessa Russo, but I'm getting a little bit now of from Big Brother this season, the girl, Hannah. I'm getting a bit of a Hannah vibe as well. She's more hardcore. She's more Vanessa Russo, but I'm getting this vibe of kind of fake to your face, and then in the confessional, it's like, which is what I want. I do want them to be honest, but like, I just don't like her personality. Like, I find her to be a bully, and very much, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to do whatever I can to guilt you, and it works. I mean, she obviously uses this in her real life because it definitely works for her.
She's a pastor. Of course, she's used to using it.
Yeah. She uses guilt and pushiness, and Rickard. I think I find myself siding with Rickard in their arguments a lot. And I'm like, I don't even like Rickard. I want him to go yesterday. He's my least liked player on this season. And I have Shan in the draft, and I have a vested interest in seeing her succeed. But I'm just like, Shan, you're not playing smart here. The fact that you wanted this back right before the tribal, you made such a big deal about it. You made such a big deal when you got back. It wasn't worth it. Not worth the capital. Not worth burning this bridge. If you're going to keep Rickard, which she did, right? She chose to keep Rickard. Make him feel good after this, work with him, and instead don't start a fight with him after the tribal.
I have a response to this comment. She says, "Oh, what now? I like Hannah." Now I understand that. I there was parts of Hannah that I actually really did like, and Shan is a much more unlikable player. She is much more the Vanessa Russo type. What I meant by comparison is she's rubbing me the wrong way in the fact that I kind of want to cheer for her because I applaud the strategy and I applaud the cutthroatness, but I just don't like the way she's going about it. It's
you don't like the two-face situation. So
yes.
if Hannah was that person who was able to say what she felt, right, to people, right, I think she would have earned a lot of goodwill, right, because she would be carrying a consistent narrative from inside the house and also in the feeds. Brittany, perfect example. It's not like Brittany said stuff differently in the DR. No. She said stuff and then she expanded upon it, right? Yeah. So it seemed like a consistent message. Hannah was like, with the exception of what's his name, Doofus there, Italian Doofus,
Brent Champagne.
Champagne there, right? Champagne.
Spelled just like the drink.
Right? She was, a lamb in the house and a lion in the DR. And it felt very, it wasn't appreciated at all. So I think that's what Jeff means, and I can understand.
Yeah, and just on that, guys, while we're talking Big Brother players, comparing them to Survivor players, and if any listeners out there are Big Brother players, we probably, we may have lost them by now, but I would probably compare Shan to Tiffany more than anybody from this past season in terms of just sort of the communication style and tactics, and the more of the tactical mindset. But
yes, but at the same time, Tiffany, I feel like it was a lot more self-aware.
Yes,
than this
more mature, more savvy. Shan, I think, is just young and not.
I don't think it has anything to do with age.
Tiffany talked to specific people a certain way, right? She talked to Big D very differently than when she was talking to any person else that she came into conflict with.
Claire,
right?
for instance.
Claire, perfect example. Or even Whitney, right? When you saw her interact with them, she act totally different.
That's right.
Whereas Sham, the only thing we've seen, and I say Sham, not Shan, Sham,
She's a sham.
she has one move, and she keeps using that same move over and over again. And Rickard's like, wait, I just saw this move. Why do you
I just saw you do
gonna-
this.
Why do you think I'm going to be playing this exact same game? I've seen what happens.
But it worked, Jaemeel. He gave her the vote back. Like, stop it.
No, the problem is Rickard thinks too highly of himself. He's like, well, I'd give it back to you, but it's not going to work on me. It's like, it just did, dude. Don't give it to her.
Yeah,
right? Unless he had to, because she gave it to him as in to hold, not to have.
See, this is the only argument for why I think he should have given back that vote. Was I think he thinks Shan is going to rub people the wrong way, and she's going to do this to other players, and then she's going to circle back to me, and then I'm going to go to the end with her, and then I'm going to get the votes because she is going to burn people to the ground, and in a way that is not worthy of the votes, in a way that I think is unlikable, like a Russell Hantz, very similar.
If she does to the jury what she did to JD, she's likely to get some bitter jurors, and that could come back to her if she gets to the finals. But let's keep moving. We don't want to just stay on the Shan Rickard train. We got to talk about the Yellow Tribe as they, as they were kind of winding themselves down. They were just happy that they were not in last place. They were like, we got 4, Green's only got 2. And Xander was like, maybe my survivor story can be this whole thing.
Maybe this could be my survivor story.
He's so naive. He's so oblivious. But I feel bad for him at the same time. Like, I feel like I was kind of joking with Amanda. I was like, he's got the raw stick. It was what I was saying to her. I know it's the raw end of the stick, but that's what I said to her. We kind of had a laugh about it. And I think he's just he's very unlucky. Like, we could talk about the challenge here, but like, again, he gets completely screwed over in this challenge. And
brutal.
Like, I felt bad for him, and then they're still like, let's take his advantage, and everything is just not going his way. And I just feel bad for him, like
we're talking about being self-aware, right? Like, we're saying how Shan's not self-aware, and he's kind of the same because he thinks he's tight with this tribe. And the 3 girls would cut him in a second if they had to. Right.
Yeah, but that's changing. Like, we saw tonight with Tiffany and Leanna that is going to change, Dave. Like, if Xander just has to stay out of the firing line, and I think he could actually become very powerful in the game. He just has to not become an obvious threat. Just hang in the background. Hang out.
I think sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. Let me be quick. Honestly, this dude is primed for a singles immunity run. Like, I absolutely see this here. I think he's absolutely primed to it, because all I see right now is a lot of people with big egos making moves and positioning themselves, and they're losing track at exactly how we're supposed to play during a merge. And we're going to talk about it more, but a lot of elements that were set up, I think he's going to be good.
Jaemeel,
out of 5 at least.
On the last podcast, you weren't here, and we talked. I kept bringing.
I listened.
You listened. So did you agree with my sentiment that this season is the closest parallel that we can draw is Nicaragua, season 21? Like, we're coming off season 40. And we had this crazy all-star season. We had all this like momentum and returning players and all this great season. And this is what they do. Like, they're like, let's do a crazy new season with all new players that are very egotistical. The casting is very similar to me as what they did in Nicaragua. And I guess, like, Xander would fit the Fabio mold perfectly, and there's other players that you could really compare. Sash and Rickard are very similar. And it goes on and on. There's many other parallels. What do you think? What do you make of that?
They're gonna be itching to step on each other's toes, and once it becomes immunity, like singles immunity, once that first vote comes, people are gonna start eyeing each other a lot more. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah, and like, well, but the fact that Xander is the youngest cast member left, I think will always make him a target, wouldn't it? But why? I don't understand how. Like, I don't really remember Nicaragua, so I don't really remember how Fabio made it so far and ultimately won, considering he was that archetype as well. He was
the way
21.
he did it, Dave, was he convinced everyone he was dumb, that he was inept, couldn't get into an alliance, and then he just kind of skated by until like the final 6, the final 7, and then he went on an individual immunity run and went all the way to the end, and that's how he won the game.
So if they let their guard down on Xander for long enough, the longer he can stay under the radar, the better. But he after this whole we will get to the challenge and sort of the ramifications. But after everything was said and done tonight, he was the only man still vulnerable to the vote. Now we'll see what Erica does with her power. And I don't want to jump ahead too far because we do have to talk about the Blue Tribe as well. But just before we get into the Blue Tribe, Luvu, Mary's got to come in there. She says, "Can I just say that I am liking the way that they do the jury asking questions and how bitter they are." I think she means compared on Survivor, sitting in on an eviction, in Big Brother, and loving it. Now I want to go on Survivor, but I can't swim well. Shit, I am obsessed. So we got her into Survivor. We can all pat ourselves on the back.
Look.
You're welcome, Jeff Probst.
Honestly, swimming is important, but if you can get to the merge, swimming becomes irrelevant. It absolutely becomes irrelevant. You don't have to worry about it. You can position yourself well. And you say you can't swim well? Look at Heather and Tiffany, right? I'm surprised they don't have like water, like, the little floaties on their arm because
Pool noodle.
It looks like they're struggling a lot. So
yeah. They wouldn't let you out there unless you basically can't. They don't want you to drown, so they want you have to be able to like swim from a safety standpoint, but I don't think you have to be a good swimmer.
Correct. I agree.
Right. Yeah. No, I think if you're, Jameel's absolutely 100% right. Once it gets to the merge, it becomes a lot of like, hold this bar up as long as you can. And it's like, it's stuff like that. So it's, there's almost no swimming once they get to the merge.
You might be standing on a log over water and you have to jump into the water or whatever. But yeah, it's, I agree completely, Jaemeel. It's kind of like, it's just a matter of, Mary's saying she can save herself. She can tread water, so that's all you really have to be able to do. And probably have to be able to swim like 100 meters or something. Okay, let's talk about Blue. They were just excited for the merge. They got the tree mail as well, just as everyone did, and they were like, but Deshaun's like, there are no alliances here. This tribe just doesn't have cracks. It is shattered. This tribe of 6.
Dumb.
What is going on?
Just a dumb tribe. Have they not watched Survivor once in their life? When you are in the majority and you have a clear advantage over the entire rest of the game, you band together, regardless of your personalities. And if you don't like each other and you've been gaming, you say, hey guys, we're 6. We all know each other. Let's just agree to get to 6. We'll let one of them eat each other first. And then we'll just pagong them. Yep. And that's exactly that. They don't say that though in this episode. It was all about let's take out Erica the whole time. But
before that, when Erica was present, they were like, okay, all 6 of us are together and we're going to work together. And they were saying these things, but then quickly after, Deshaun's like, no, we are not doing that. We're getting rid of Erica.
Here's the thing. And I was having trouble understanding this from a logical perspective. They have a group of 6. The group of 6 can easily work together to eliminate the rest of the groups. The only disadvantage to being part of a big alliance is if you're at the bottom. The person talking about how there's no alliance is already closely aligned with a bunch of people, meaning what's called Sydney, NFL dude, and they have this
and they kind of have Nasir. I don't know where I still don't know what the hell is going on with Heather in this friggin' show.
But you have 4 out of the 6. So if it does come to 6, you still have the advantage, the majority over the remaining people. How are you at a disadvantage? How are you confused by it? You roll with 6, right? Making sure that you don't let people in on to the fact that you have a majority of the 6, right, with the 4, and then when it comes down to close, you take advantage and get rid of the other people that oppose you, and then you're down to 4. Like, why are you making this more difficult than it needs to be?
It doesn't need to be difficult. You're right. Like worst case scenario for Luvu would be like, okay, well, Ua, like the green and the yellow tribe, they put their numbers together. They have 6. At worst, we're tied in a tribal, and there's going to be we draw for rocks. But that's probably not even necessary because the blue would just have this natural power because they have a 6. And I think like especially like probably Shan Rickard would be like, oh, can we get in on that, or can we work with you and whatever. So I think that they could vote out the yellow. They could vote out Xander. They could vote out Tiffany. Who else is that? Leanna, whoever. Just to get those numbers down. But they don't do it. And I think it is Deshaun who is the real catalyst in this Luvu tribe. And Danny lets Deshaun kind of tell him what to do, it seems like.
Well, Danny, to be fair, is worried about the men-women thing. That's his kind of main narrative. Deshaun just doesn't like certain people on his tribe. and he just doesn't want to deal with them. Like that's really what
what is it with Erica? She seems nice enough.
No, he's just threatened by her. He just knows that she's a smart girl, and he just doesn't want to have her around in the end game. He's already thinking about Final 6 and Final 5, Final 4.
He doesn't want her there. He'd rather have the threat of threats.
He'd rather the enemy he doesn't know than the enemy he does. He's already sized her up, and he in his head has decided to himself that she's a bad person to have later on in the game.
Short-sighted.
Well, maybe. I mean, we don't really see all their conversations. It's editing, and at the same time, but I do think that the editing does, at the end of the day, have a true narrative. And I think here Deshaun is, kind of going over the top and just kind of overplaying. You know, we got a little bit here from Leanna tonight about Tiffany that she was overplaying. I'm like, no, she's just being dumb. You know, she's just like overplaying her hand in a way that's like not necessary.
Just rubbing people the wrong way and just not necessary. I agree. Okay, let's talk about the challenge. Okay, and I gotta ask, I think we've talked about this, but it's been a few weeks since the 3 of us have all been together. So it's been like the 2 or the 3 of us kind of at different times lately.
It's good to be together again.
It's good to all be together again. Yeah, absolutely. Even though we were on D Space last night and a few other podcasts since then. But this whole thing with Jeff Probst breaking the fourth wall, talking to the camera, a lot of people don't like it. I personally don't. I'm not all that worked up about it, but is it just because it's a change in format?
I vote no. I think he's making himself way too much part of this show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about the contestants. It shouldn't be about you, Jeff. I think it's a mistake.
This is not punked. I don't need to hey guys, they're just about to come in, right? You see them in the background. We're about to play this biggest challenge ever. Let's see how they feel about it. It's like, no, what are you doing? That's not. Survivor has a very specific visual storytelling method, and it's been proven over the years. That isn't the issue with the show, right?
They showed the camera person tonight, guys.
I didn't need to see that person.
Yeah, that was the first time I think ever since the only other time I can think where they showed the camera person was when Caleb got medevaced. That's the only other time I can remember where they showed it. And it's just no, don't that's the whole magic of this show. We know there's a camera person there, but you do your best.
So it reminds you that he's talking to a camera.
Yes. Not only that, it's also I think, as much as he's trying to be I don't want to use this word because it gets overused, but he's trying to be this woke, hey guys, what's going on? I'm the cool guy now. I'm the cool uncle, that's kind of what he's doing. And he's hey, I hang loose, I got the mullet going. I'm rocking that. I'm a cool guy now. I wouldn't say anything bad. I wouldn't say dig woman like I did 5 years ago, but now I'll just say, move that ball, everything about him is just you're trying too hard to be someone you're not.
Hello, fellow kids.
Yeah, Probst. Yeah, I'm okay with mixing up the format a bit, and it doesn't occur to me to be to object to it when it happens, but I see it on Twitter. I see a lot of like the Survivor faithful who are like, "Stop talking to the camera, Probst. What are you doing? This is no good. Go back to the old ways, right?" And I don't know. Like I'm kind of your points are all valid and well taken. It's not necessarily something I get into, but yes, fair enough. So this whole the mergatory
This is like mergatory.
yeah, like this whole like, well, you got to drop your buffs but not really, and you're kind of merged but not, and but they kind of are merged sort of by the end of this.
Confusing.
I think. Okay, and just the way that they split this up, so they're like, okay, there's 12 people left in the game, but we're only going to let 10 people compete in this challenge, and 2 people are going to sit out based on a rocks, and the teams are all based on people drawing rocks, either a blue, yellow, or gray rock. Nasir and Erica ultimately will draw the gray rock, so they won't compete here. It seems like they could have even done this challenge like next
6 on
week.
6.
6 on 6. I don't know. Like maybe you could have just sent somebody from the losing tribe to this, but that's not how it went.
Jeff had this. It's him or whatever producer had this crazy idea to do this weird. You can turn back time. You can be Cher of Survivor.
Turn back time.
You could be on a battle cruiser with a tight black dress on. I mean, I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand. Like, they're overdoing it with these the
twists,
the twists, and like also I think there's too many advantages in the game right now. Like Shan has like what does she have right now? Does she
utility belt?
She's got a utility belt. Yeah, that's right. She's Batman. Like she's got friggin' an idol. She's got an extra vote, and she's got Leanna's stealing advantage, like in her back pocket, basically. Like she's gonna have that, So right now Shan is like super powerful. And like I just don't understand why I don't like all the extra votes. I'm fine with the idols.
Sears got an idol, so does Xander, and so does and so does Shan. And plus there's what else is there? Is there steal of votes? Other people steal of votes?
I don't think
or extra votes. Do other people have extra votes? I can't even try. I don't even know who has what.
It's too many.
When you see the people's names pop up, they actually list like all the advantages that they have as well, and
like
substantial.
Like they in this season they wanted to go back to kind of like the basics, right? They wanted to like go to a point where it's like, okay, no food, less days. It's gonna be speed survivor, but like you don't need I don't think people watch this show for idols, and they don't it's not like it used to be where it was like this novelty, and it was great to see like Russell Hantz find 3 in one season, and it just kept happening, and it was kind of cool. But now it's gotten to a point where it's just like limit it, please. Like limit it like 1 or 2 before the merge, 1 or 2 during the merge, I think is about right.
I think what people like is people finding stuff, right? With no food there, have people find food, right? That is a major advantage, right? Make it harder for people to get food. You've done a great job by taking it away. Now what you need to do is find a way for someone to earn the food. There hasn't been that many options to earn food, right? Make it that it's a risk or reward for food to be able to survive, to get like you lost your flint. Sorry, that sucks, right? Because you had to go to tribal. How can you get it back? Right? Give them the ability to get it back. You can find like an option to get.
There's a hidden flint out here.
Something like you can do that. It has nothing to do with advantages. Just simple amenities that allow them to just even have a semblance of life. That can mean the difference between winning or losing.
Like you're right. Like they're hungry right now, right? Like Erica said it, and I think in the episode tonight, like basically, like be like you can either eat or go look for an advantage, because now it actually makes more sense. Now it's actually like, oh, I actually am hungry. Like before it was like I'm fine, I'll eat some rice later. And but now it's like they're actually hungry. Like you can tell.
Yeah.
And And so I think that's important. I think they do need to kind of make this a little bit more difficult on their stomachs and make the incentive for food more than the incentive.
I agree. No rice ever. I was pissed that they gave them rice tonight after later on, but it was I guess
I think they need to give them rice. If you saw how people's faces were after that challenge and not getting a feast, it seemed like people were broken, like emotionally broken, which is good, but yeah, you still have show to go through.
Well, you give them some kind of food maybe, but not why rice. Give them something else.
Look, here's the thing. I saw these people eating food, and the way they were scarfing that food down, I'm like, they got to slow down, right? They have not been eating well at all. Look, the sad thing about it is, anytime something happens, I'm like, is this how people get sick and leave? Is this what's gonna do it? Someone does a challenge, and I'm like, are someone gonna fall down and hurt themselves and the balls? I'm like, is this someone gets medevaced? I feel like I'm watching Hot Tub Time Machine, and all the players are the the guy about to lose his hand, and we're just like, okay, this is not it. I'm just waiting.
I thought it was.
I just keep on waiting for something.
You can turn back time if you smash that hourglass in the time machine or the hot tub.
Speaking about the turning back time, I honestly, when he was describing the power at the very beginning, I thought they were going to wipe out all of the advantages and just start afresh. So everyone was on a quote unquote same playing field.
That would have been great. That would have been fantastic.
That would have been great. That is it would have been EMP, like an EMP advantage, which just wiped out everything.
Great. That would we should run this show.
I'm like, oh, that sounds so cool.
Because Erica maybe would have made that choice and that without a lot of worry, but Nasir having an idol made have said, well, if I do this, I take away my own idol, right? If he had been the one to go to that exile island instead of Erica.
That would have been great if Erica had that opportunity, because it'd be good if you wipe out everyone else's advantage in the game, but you also get the one idol. Because he said it, Jeff said it was going to be the most powerful thing that ever occurred in the history of Survivor. No, it's not.
This is not the most powerful thing ever. This is not.
Mary says Tyler idol is the most powerful thing.
Right here, I want them to bring back the powerful idol after the vote back at the middle. This is what she's talking about, the Tyler Perry idol. That is the most powerful thing they've had in Survivor.
Yeah.
I think it's not even close.
With the whole thing that they had to draw teams here, and the fact that these teams were so uneven, lopsided. We had Xander, Heather, Leanna, Tiffany, and Shan versus Rickard, Deshaun, Danny, Sydney, the threat of threats, and Evie. And so maybe Evie being the weakest of this group, but they seem to be doing pretty well. They work it together, and
an NFL player on their team. Dave.
Yeah. If Nasir was on the other team, I would have said, you know what? There's still a chance. But once Nasir was out of the question, I'm like, oh, this team is dead.
I said if Nasir was on either team, this would be over already.
If you swapped Danny with Xander, the other team, they probably still win, but Danny would have helped them, more than Xander. And Xander did great.
Xander had to carry that team on his back, literally a few times.
I think Xander and Leanna, and the rest of it was just the island of misfit toys.
It was.
Don't forget when Leanna's hungry.
And when Leanna's hungry, she's feisty. So I want to win this.
Yeah, but she didn't.
Well, she didn't,
And then, of course, Probst.
You got to dig deep. Dig woman and Xander.
Dig women and Xander. And just this whole competition. Yellow just was never they kind of caught up, but it was all for naught because Blue got such a head start in this challenge. And the puzzle wasn't that hard. It was just Merge Feast.
They walked up to the puzzle and they're like, is it Merge Feast? It's what?
Is it free Merge Feast? Something like that?
Jeff. No, you got to earn it.
You got to dig. And so, and this whole thing where the winning group, they got to decide of the two non-players, Erica and Nasir, who to send. And Danny seemed like he drove this, right? He had from his original Luvu tribe, he had Deshaun with him and Sydney. So Rickard and Evie are sort of odd people out here. They're kind of new. They're kind of outsiders in this group of 5. So it seems like they weren't going to necessarily object too much here. And so they're like, okay, let's send Erica, because we know Erica from the Blue Tribe. And I think if you're Rickard or Rickard or Evie, you're like, okay, sure, like whatever. Like it doesn't really, because it was either way a Luvu was going, right? So why not leave it up to the Luvu 3? And so they're like, well, we did paper, rock, scissors, but apparently that was a lie. That was Danny's just kind of worried about the women getting the numbers. Erica kind of sensed that it wasn't honest. And how bad did you feel for her here?
I only have one question about all this. Is paper, rock, scissors, like I've always thought it was rock, paper, scissors. Paper, rock, scissors, is that like a an American way of looking at it? Is that what it is?
No, it's not an American way of looking at it. I think that is. I thought it would have been like a other continent point of view regarding it, and that's not an America has always said rock, paper, scissors. I've never heard it say paper, rock, scissors.
That's a Danny thing, then.
Possibly. Maybe
it's a regional dialect.
Okay. All right. I was just very confused by, I was like, I always heard of it called rock, paper, scissors, I think, they seem to have a thing with Erica, and it's not because of Erica personally. I think from like Danny's perspective, or maybe, even Deshaun's perspective. I think it's just the fact that she's a girl. They see all these guys getting taken out. Evie like trying to reassure Danny, like, I assure you, we're not taking out the guys on purpose. That's not what's happening.
That's totally what Evie's up to.
That's totally what Evie's up to. And, like, I'm sure, like, it's pretty obvious. Like, I think if I was Danny, I'd be like, yeah, right. Like, too, like, come on, that's what you're doing.
Because who did the Yellow Tribe vote out? I'm trying to remember.
Voci, and they took
Abraham.
Abraham. Yeah, and Abraham was like was a legit one or whatever. I think he but Voci was literally just taken out because he was a guy. Which I think was like, why? Like, I think again, like, I just think that's silly. Like,
we want to lose.
Yeah, we want to lose. We don't care. That's literally what she said. And the Green Tribe was just a train wreck, guys. Like, I mean, the fact that you missed the JD vote out, Jaemeel. Like, can you give us a few words about the JD vote out and how silly that was?
I didn't like JD, so I was kind of hoping he was going to get voted out. Like, JD getting voted out made sense at the time in the sense of like, oh, we're going to take his advantage and vote him out so we have the advantage. Okay, cool. But you got to realize that there's still game after that. And the goose egg that they produced right after, and what they did with Genie in general was nonsensical. It made no sense. You could make that move, but you don't put Genie in that type of position where she, one, looks foolish, and two, like, she doesn't trust any of you, right? There was no feeling after that challenge that we chose you because we want to go forward playing this game with you, right? It seemed like, we got JD out, and she's like, oh, I'm so thankful. We're gonna let bygones be bygones, but it always felt like a but afterwards. But
I 100% agree with you. And Genie was a terrible player. We actually pontificated, Jaemeel. Who is a worse player, Genie at Survivor or Big D at Big Brother?
I was yelling at the my radio when you all said that. It's without a question, it's Big D is the worst player, right? For the simple fact, Genie has a specific role on Survivor. She is the hardworking, person that does a lot of the legwork and is kept around because they keep the fires going and they get food. And then if they get further in the game, it becomes individual, and they might make a swing of things and get some immunity and get a feeling for the game. They always start off slow. They get eliminated, or they last a little bit of length. So they have a role to play in the game. Big D is just terrible in general. He cannot win anything. He has a terrible social game. Plus, even as a character, right? He is a mixed bag. So, who's better? Genie's a better player, Big D's a better character.
Interesting
take.
I follow your logic. I half disagree with it, but I do follow it.
Okay.
Because for me, it's like Jeannie is just not even remotely a player. At least like Big D understood he was playing a game. And like I feel like Jeannie was kind of oblivious to what she was doing. As far as like you were right, like what she says, like, oh, thank you for voting JD. I was like, really? That's what you took from this? Like, you know, like I just couldn't believe how oblivious she was, and like the whole loyalty thing. And like you saw it tonight again with Xander talking about the Yellow Tribe, Dave, where he was like, well, we're all tight four, you know, he was saying. I was like, no, you're not.
Xander's as dumb as Jeannie.
Yeah, no, I agree. This whole season is filled with them. Like, you know, it's filled with these like oblivious players.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I'm okay with that. But let's get back to
because your person didn't get eliminated.
Let's get back to the paper, rock, scissors of it all.
Okay.
You know, and I thought that like if I was that group of 5, I think I would have been more inclined to send. Even though I get the reasoning, I would have been more inclined to send Nasir out there just because to send poor Erica like this, she's the smallest person of the contestants to Exile Island for 2 days.
If she dies, she dies, dude.
If she dies, she dies. Yeah, that's kind of like I was like, this is kind of. I don't know if I could do that if I was in their position.
It's the age-old thing. You keep your enemies close, and you know your friends.
Your friends close, and your enemies closer.
That's that whole saying. You understand what I'm saying? They should have sent Nasir not because of the male female thing or whatever, because they knew they can trust Nasir, and they know Nasir is going to give them the goods when he comes back. Erica is not. And so that's for that reason, I think they should have sent Nasir.
I just feel like they're like, she's gonna be a pariah when she comes back. So it's an easy vote. We want to vote her out. So let's get rid of her. We want to cement things with Nasir. We don't want any situation where he feels on the outs. We want to keep him close. As well as we don't want Erica to get any leeway with any of the 2 other individuals who are part of our current situation with the feast. So let's just, you know, send her off to the island and then send her home right after. Bam, bam.
I agree. That was the plan.
That's pretty. Yeah, that was persuasive, Jaemeel. I agree. That's what they went with. Okay. Yeah, and then we get to the feast itself. Okay, like Jaemeel, you said, they got to slow down. They were eating too much. It was a lot of charcuterie. I was noticing on the board. Although some beers and things too. And you know, Nasir was just happy to be along for the ride.
And I love the color.
You got the red tribe now. This whole merge tribe. I don't know if there was a lot of strategy talk in this, other than they talked about the whole. Like Evie's like, I'm not voting out the men. And Danny was not necessarily buying it. But they were kind of talking about how Erica was their target. And the other, like Rickard and Evie are like, sure, not us. Great.
Stupid. Like, you know, like if you're the blue tribe, the number one thing you should do is be like, we're strong. We're 6 strong. And then you get to find out who the cracks are between the yellow tribe, and we'll see what the green tribe does, you know, in the very least. And then you actually build some sort of trust with your blue tribe, you know, and it could help you later on. It just makes no sense all around to do this.
Why would you give up that information?
Yeah, I agree. They shouldn't tell those 2. They don't need their votes.
Yeah. We want to get rid of one of our own. I'm like, wait, what? What? And this isn't something that is widely known amongst everyone else. Like, have we seen if Heather has been in this conversation about getting rid of Erica? Right? But we're like, so if you're Heather, you're like, wait a second, I didn't hear anything about this. We are
who?
Erica?
Who? Is there a Heather on this show? I'm not familiar. Like, I see her in these challenges, but I don't think she's had it one confessional.
No.
Has she, Jeff? Like, have we seen her?
Nope. No, and they've given Evie about 25, and it's not Heather's fault. It's the show's fault. You know,
it's gotta be Heather's fault a little bit. Like, she must really suck in like her confession.
Really? Like, I mean, how much? What is she saying? Is she talking in gibberish? Is she speaking in tongues?
She's speaking in tongues. I guess it's all like,
I'm sure she's saying something. And you know, like I just don't get it. I don't understand why they're not showing us her point of view about anything really, other than like she cried at a challenge because she couldn't do it. That's all I know about her. That's it. That's like all I know about her.
She got stuck on that beam, right? Like on the one, like even Tiffany was able to do it, and Heather couldn't do it. Remember, she was stuck on the beam for like in the water there forever. This is like the third episode or second.
She's
episode.
Purple Heather.
So she's Purple Heather.
Purple
Well, she's
Heather.
Blue Heather.
Yeah, Blue Heather in this situation.
Yeah, but yeah, like she was even like whether she had she was part of the losing group. But we actually did we go to the losing group after we saw Erica? Because I think we went to Erica at the beach first at Exile. Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's right. So let's talk about like the group that lost. But before that, Erica at the beach by herself. She didn't look like she knew how to light the fire, but she did eventually light the fire. So kudos to her. But she was I guess Nasir was probably doing that for the most part over at Luvu. And she's like, I'm not used to being handed anything. You could see the emotionalism coming from Erica. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Canada shout out.
Growing up in Canada.
That's where I'm from. Filipino parents.
Yay! That's where I'm from.
It's where I'm from too. And
it's big place, even though she's actually from our neck of the woods. But yeah, Canada's a big place. She could have said like Ontario or like
you can't say
get
Ontario.
more specific. Say Toronto. She's from Toronto, isn't she?
Yeah, people would think Ontario, California. You're right.
Yeah.
You
know how that place came to be, right?
But Canada is just such a giant place. Like, I mean, I get it. I get why she did it. And she's the first player to be like actually from here, even though Shan's also from Canada, but grew up in the DC.
There's been others that have been like originally from Canada, but then they always live in the States when they're on there. But like Erica's the first Canadian resident.
She pays her taxes here.
She pays her taxes here.
She votes for Trudeau or whoever she votes for.
Or not at all. Who knows? We don't know what's going on with that. But yes, so like everything with her here, she's telling about her story. We got to see some photos of her family. I don't think Jaemeel was into this so much. But
I'm not digging.
I'm a heartless beast.
You don't care. She's from Canada. You don't like her backstory, do you?
All I thought about was, what's going to end up happening is when I go into work, I'm just going to hear from my coworkers. It's like, did you watch Survivor? And I'm like, I always watch Survivor because they love anytime a Filipino is doing well. They're like salivate. Somebody
she's doing all right. She's a Canadian Filipino too. So got the double entendre. Yeah. So like everything with her here, I felt for her. Like, I think it would suck to live out there by yourself for 2 days. But on the other hand,
I did not feel for her. Okay, and here you guys are going to think I'm heartless, but like I would have been super stoked to have gotten what she got there. 2 days in the middle of the game to go think on my own, to go really think about what I want to do for the next part of this game. Really, like, instead of like woe is me and oh this sucks and I'm away and they're just gonna vote me out, like really start to like contemplate, reflect what you're gonna do, enjoy the experience, and like don't get down on yourself because like this is just one of many curveballs that many other players are gonna get, but this is the one you got. Embrace it. That's what I think.
Yep, you're right. You're not going to die out there, first off.
Right.
So it's never as bad as you think. You might be hungry, but, a lot of other people are hungry too. And, they gave you some things so you could at least be okay. Right. And plus, anything you find, you're not splitting it 6 ways. Right. You're able to eat it yourself. Okay. Once the fire was set, you were golden. All you have to do is just wait 2 days. And a lot of people complain about when they're in Survivor, the hardest part isn't being hungry. Being hungry is part of the issue. It's being paranoid while hungry.
Yeah.
It's what drives people crazy to make rash and terrible decisions. You're hungry, but at least you can focus in on finding food for yourself, not having to worry about what's happening at camp. All right. and 2, you're just able to collect your thoughts, and anything that you do, you can just kind of you could write out your entire strategy on the sand right
And
there.
just-
You can,
And just like do like a personality breakdown of everybody that's in the game and go like, who do I want to work with? Who do I want to vote out? What order would I like to vote out people? Like these are all things that I would think about if I was by myself and I had Erica's opportunity.
But Erica didn't do that.
Well, maybe she did and they didn't show us, but I guarantee she thought about a lot of the things that we're bringing up, Dave. They don't, these are a lot of things that the show doesn't show us,
yeah.
and
I wish they did.
I wish they did because Big Brother does a better job of this. And because they at least in Big Brother you can speak to the cameras and it's live feeds and we know kind of
Only Probst does that now.
But that's the problem, Dave, is that Probst is the one doing that, and this game should not be about him. It should be about the contestants. It should be about the game, not Probst and whatever he wants to bring. To whatever change is like you're the host, dude.
No, he's the puppet master. He's pulling in the strings.
Is he the monster?
The monster is hungry.
Does he think this is lost?
He's the smoke monster.
Is that why he's wearing black this season?
Ooh.
Yeah, he's the man in black. Who's the Jacob?
There is no Jacob. Jacob's dead.
Yeah.
You are no, that's not it. Where is it? Jeff Probst, where's the monster is hungry? Oh, I don't have it. Sorry, never mind. But here it is.
We're back, and the monster is hungry.
The monster is hungry. He's the monster.
He's the smoke monster? Man,
I guess so.
I didn't see it coming.
Okay, over to the losing tribe. Xander and Team Yellow. They are in Mergatory.
This is like Mergatory.
Yeah, they didn't even have their buffs yet, and they got some rice. They didn't get a feast, but they did get a little bit of food, and they ate it up. And so this was kind of like you wanted to talk paranoid while hungry. That's what these 5 were. So we had like poor Xander. I felt for him. He's all like scraped up and cut and bruised. Then you got like Shan and Leanna scheming. They were scheming fast. They were like, okay, what do you got? What was that advantage you got when we went up the hill together? And I protected my vote. You risked your vote.
I'm like, bro.
they jumped into it right. But this is Shan. This is kind of Shan's weakness. Is she can't help herself, right?
It's not been a weakness so far. It's been a super strength for her in this game so far because she's playing with peasants.
Dummies.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, well, what did you get? And Leanna explains it eventually, but she kind of feel like, I think she was kind of urged to talk about it a little bit sooner than she wanted to.
How could she do anything? She, like, you mentioned it right there. She doesn't say anything. It'll be even more sus.
Mary Alexander. It's with an X, though. The X marks the spot.
I like Xander too. Like I kind of pull him for him because I feel bad for him. I feel like I did about Fabio, like a very similar feeling. Like I don't think he's a good player or anything, but if he won, like I'd be kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, like there's like guys, like is there anyone in this season where you're kind of cheering for, like that you really want to win? Like anybody?
Nasir.
Yeah,
Nasir for sure.
Me too. Nasir is the only person I'm cheering for, and
That's music to my song.
And I'm kind of cheering for Erica a little bit too, but those are the 2, and the rest of them I kind of look at like mostly like as villains. Most of them are villainous players, and like not rootable. And I feel like that's how the show wants us to perceive them as well.
What about Tiffany?
What? Stop, Jeff.
Well, I just bringing her back up because she was part of this group of 5 that was like, she was like, what did you get, Leanna? I knew you had an advantage, Leanna. And then Leanna's like, I think I want to vote out Tiffany first.
I feel like, we're supposed to feel like Tiffany is just a lost cause. And if she gets voted out, it's because it's her own damn fault. I feel like that's how we're supposed to feel about her. But okay, can we get into the new cookout a little bit here?
Okay, now okay, let's
I've
get
been
to the
working
section.
hard on this. Okay,
We've been waiting to get to this point. And we saw that once the group, the winning 5 and the losing 5 were brought together, still without Erica, but and plus Nasir. So I guess the 11 of them are brought together here. So yeah, like almost immediately, I felt like it was Shan and Leanna, who have obviously been tight. They pulled in Danny and Deshawn, and who am I forgetting? There was a 5th, right?
Yeah, there was 5 of them. Shan, Leanna, Danny, Deshawn, and
was only 4. I thought like there was a 5th, sort of someone they wanted to pull in. I don't know who.
Show us the background. We'll pick it out. Is it Nasir?
Let's see. How do I turn this off? I don't know how to show the background. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's only the 4 of them.
Yeah, maybe it is only the 4. I thought it might have been Nasir with them as well. But
well, I don't know if it's going to be like black only or if it's going to be persons of color. Like the
if it follows the cookout method, it will be.
But this happened before Big Brother, so like, will it follow the same thing? And also, Jeff, I know you didn't watch it, but Big Brother Canada 9, not quite the same, but there was definitely like, again, like all through what these 3 seasons have in common: Big Brother Canada 9, Big Brother USA 23, and now the Survivor 41, is that they've gone very much into the diversity casting, which is definitely good. But in all 3 examples, you've seen the contestants, people, minorities, who have said, geez, I never thought I'd be in here with a bunch of other people who look like me. This is gold. I got to take advantage of this, and I got to work with these people. And so,
which I understand. Like I get it's human instinct. Like and it's gone the other way for season after season, where a bunch of white people go, "Hey, you had a very similar experience to me." It's not said. That's the difference. It's not said. It's because it's not thought of. I don't think. I don't think
it's conscious, but I think it's subconscious. I think it comes down to I don't want to sit next to somebody at the end with a better story than me, a story of like adversity. And I think I think a minority has maybe a built-in a case. I grew up being the only one who looked like me in my classroom, and we hear it a bunch of the times. You've said it even tonight. I don't know. I can't relate to that. I don't know what that is, but I know that other people can, and I think it's a compelling jury case to make. So it's only from a jury threat standpoint, not that we hate minorities and we want to vote them out if you're white. Maybe some people do, but I don't know. I think
it goes back to what you were saying before about the subconscious thing. Like, all right, if I got out there and I met somebody that was around my age, had a very similar experience to me, happened to be white, I bonded with that person, that would make sense. If
they reminded you of yourself, you're more likely to connect.
Right. And that's exactly what's going on here in all 3 of these seasons, Dave, is they get out there and they're like, wow, somebody like me. I thought I was going to be like, they kind of mentioned it tonight, where it's like, oh, I thought I was going to be the only person of color in my elementary school, in my high school. It's always the same story, which I thought was a little weird coming from 2 girls that are from DC,
But Deshawn was like, I don't know, I'm from San Bernardino, and this is normal to me, but whatever, sure, let's do it.
He's like, I'm rolling with this. What?
I'm rolling with this. Great.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm trying to find.
What are your thoughts? You've been tracking this on Twitter since the show ended. It's bound to be controversial.
Let's go through something.
Let's make you big here. Okay.
People asking, is this are we getting a cookout on Survivor?
Losing a fan.
Like, that's exactly what's happening.
We're losing a fan. Okay, well, I don't know if that seems extreme.
Fuck Toronto. Can't say that we will miss you. That's funny.
Let's see if I could do. I'm trying to figure out what the shortcut key is to move it to the next picture. Hold on, let me switch myself back.
No worries.
The next one, and then we have another one. A bit weird, a bit racist. Right?
You know what it means?
It's not racist. Right? It's not racist, right?
No, it's not racist. No.
Like, here's the funny thing about this situation. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened. We can see in part 2, they vote against each other. and then all of this was for naught, right?
So that's
but
a
just
great
the
point.
concept, people are just freaking out about it.
That's correct, Jaemeel, because all right, the one thing that Big Brother is a different game than Survivor. Survivor is very individualistic. It's a lot more cutthroat, and it doesn't have the same history that Big Brother US had, where literally minorities never even sniffed at the end of the game. And so Survivor, we've had multiple minorities win the game. We've had it. And you can point. I can name 5 off the top of my head.
If you just look at the winner at Wars cast,
right? The winners of War, yeah, they're all winners, right? You got Yule, you have Earl,
Natalie, Escapia, who wasn't there. Like, there's a ton. Another one.
Oh, let's see what this one says. Fritzy says, and approving it. Can you imagine so much hate? Our country is full throttle in reverse. And then you said, so from bad to good? She said,
oh, sorry, that was a little bit of a troll job there, because you can't help but like enjoy moments when people freak out about stuff. Once again, I state nothing has happened,
and it's inconsequential.
Right? Like Sham is in this group, right? There is an expiry date with this group. There is a ticking time bomb, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like Big D, who is like, well, Big D's gonna turn on them and do what? He holds no power. Sham has power in this game. It makes no sense.
Jeff, why do you think that the fan base and so many people have this incredible like anger and revulsion to in all these examples where like they say, okay, let's get together and work together in the game, like persons of color, black people, whoever.
Why? It's because the majority of the people that watch these shows are white, and and they don't like being told, they don't like being told that for a long time it's worked in reverse. It's worked in a way, and not just from a game standpoint, but from a casting standpoint more than anything. Like, and they kind of mentioned that tonight. Like, there's only been a few seasons of Survivor that I could really point to you where they casted minorities in excess. Fiji was one of them. Cook Islands was one of them.
Cook Islands, the most obvious one,
right?
A lot of people had a problem with that because it was based on like.
I personally don't. I think they should do it more. I think they should have more diversity, with their cast. But I don't think people necessarily should freak out because that's just natural. It's just what's going to happen.
So I was surprised. Like, one person mentioned is like, just imagine if the reverse happened, people would freak out about it. So do you guys remember all the other times that people freaked out about, all white alliances occurring on the show? Let's see. I don't remember getting angry about them or them. Right.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
But you're right. It was never said, Jeff. Like, it's never said. Oh well, because
them.
I think depending on where you're from in the country or North America, I think it's it doesn't necessarily occur to you because maybe you're from a town that's 99% white and therefore it doesn't come up in your day-to-day life, I guess, or
it's exactly what Jaemeel is showing is completely true. We don't, but like the thing is, it's not said and it's not looked at as like a good thing, like it's like the whole thing. Like, if it happened in this situation, it would be bad. But if it happens in this situation, it's propped up and is encouraged.
And it's good. And so I think that's probably what people have a hard time reconciling is like,
right.
It's hilarious to me because like, I honestly, like, for Survivor, there's been, as mentioned, tons of minority winners.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want entertaining people. And if people don't entertain me, I want them gone.
Me too. Right? I have the exact same opinion.
So
like Jeannie had to go, despite she's a minority. Had to go. She sucks.
She did suck.
Yeah.
But she's the one I got. Like, I wasn't watching the show for her. Right?
No. Like, I do think there is a difference though, like with like, okay, the African American culture is different than like a lot of different immigrants that play on this game. Like if Jeannie and Erica ended up in the merge tribe, they're not going looking at each other like we're both Asian. That's probably not happening. You know, the African American culture, it's a bit different. Because they have a shared experience that is a lot
in history.
It's a lot in
They've
history.
been grouped up in the other as the other, so
Yes.
they're kind of like, oh, it's us. But when I was going through all these alliances, there is so many alliances where it has one black person. Right? One black person. It's like everyone, one black person. And that's just how casting has gone about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So only like 2 black people in the cast, like
which is a mistake. They shouldn't do that. Like that like I don't agree with that part of it. And nobody ever brings that up,
But like majority of the time when people complain about casting, and the thing I agree with is they get like 5 people from New York, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden those New Yorkers pair together. It's like that happens all the time.
Yeah,
right?
because they went to the same schools. They went
know
to
a friend of a friend of a friend. So come on. If we truly are looking to have a diverse cast, right? Having culture like culturally, like ethnic differences, that's great. But also, put in a little work, dig deep, guys. Your production team, your casting team, and let's get some Ohio people in. Let's get some Delaware
50
people
states.
in. Let someone from who's been from Alaska.
Where's Hawaii?
I feel like they used to do that in let's say the first 10 seasons of Survivor. I feel like you got a lot more players from all sorts of different places. And now you're right. They pull from LA and they pull from New York big time. And Texas, I guess would be the other
Florida.
place they pull from. Florida and the East Coast in a lot of ways. It's the East Coast and the West Coast, the heartland of America. Even in this season, if you look at it, I bet
it's just Brad. Brad's the only one.
It's one guy, right? So these are the things. I think Brad would have been casted in the first 10 seasons of Survivor.
Yeah,
and a lot of these other players would not have.
Brad is Big Tom.
Yeah, he's Big Tom. The thing is, they need to. I think they try to merge it and bring it, and be very diverse and stuff. But it's hard. It's almost impossible to appease everybody. But what I really like is they have a girl from Canada in the season. They have a guy from Sri Lanka. They are trying. But and this season I think is better than most for the cast. It really is.
Here's the question I couldn't help but wonder tonight. Now that we've seen it in both Big Brothers this year and now the Survivor this year, next time we play these games, what do the white players do?
Play the game. I don't think about it. I think
I would assume there's a cookout always now if I'm playing these games. There's got to they're gonna get
because it happened once.
It happened 3 times this year.
How okay, the Sunsetters were not a cookout.
No, but it was a big part of the narrative.
It was three black people.
They had Beth. Okay, but
out of 6, the Sunsetters were 6 people.
They had your boy there. What's his name?
Kiefer.
He's not
right?
Yeah.
Kiefer.
Right.
And we haven't what's her name? It's 5 people. It was 5 people lines.
Yeah, we haven't even seen this tribe.
Latoya was in it too.
Go to tribal guys. We haven't even do you really trust Shan and Danny and Deshaun to stick together? Do we trust this?
How am I Sham? How am I Sham or Danny trusting any of the people? How am I Sham thinking that I can get to the final 4 with those people and expect to win? It's nonsensical.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
Danny's already talking about how he can't trust the girls. Shan is literally an insane Survivor player. She is a bully.
They're going to figure out if they think Erica is not trustworthy, they will figure out fast with Shan what she's about.
There's no way Deshaun's going to vibe with Shan. That's not going to happen.
So this is why it's why are you guys freaking out? You're telling on yourselves. Don't tell on yourselves.
Right.
These people, Survivor is built, right? Where, yes, alliances are important, but even more so than not, you cannot get to the end game with your alliance strong, right?
No.
You're going to have to turn on your alliance, and if you don't, you're gone. You will be gone.
That's right. And it's different than Big Brother. Like Big
It's
Brother
different.
is more of a let's stick together. Let's fix the game. Basically, Big Brother is the easiest game for the contestants to go, what? We know what's coming. You know, like at least Survivor, it does have more twists and turns where it's a more difficult to control. You know, it really is, because there's too many advantages and there's too many swings and there's too many things like that. Whereas
Yeah.
Big Brother, like the unexpected should really be a more of a Survivor tagline, because that happens way more in Survivor. Big Brother is very expected. You know, HOH is coming up next week. I don't play. You know, everything is the same. You know,
Yeah, people plan out well in advance. Look, with Survivor, you get to this cookout 4, you get to final 5. 5th person wins immunity. Uh-oh. 5th person has an individual immunity. Uh-oh. Like, it's built so that your alliance breaks at a certain point. It has to. That's the way the show is built, right? Big Brother hasn't figured that out, how they can get that custom break, but Survivor has it there, right? There's an end of the line. There always is. It just depends on how far you can go. That's it.
that's exactly right. Like, and when you look at both the games, like, because the way that it works, nobody has power in Survivor. Really, you have advantages, but no one has power. The power is of persuasion. It's of hey, let's vote this way. Hey, let's do that. But a blindside can happen like that. Whereas in Big Brother, it's like you got the veto, you got the HOH. 2 people are basically safe every week. You know,
Yeah.
and
then vote for the house. Vote with the house is the common thing. That hasn't been the case with Survivor, especially in modern Survivor, where like they change their minds on a dime.
Yeah, they'll go whisper to each other in the middle of tribal, and Jeff's like licking his lips and eating popcorn. You know, where Julie Chan is like sitting back front stage, like getting the producers to be like, okay, her name is Tiffany. Tiffany. Okay, I got it. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's going on in Big Brother.
Okay, guys, just the whole ending here, where Jeff came out on the boat and he visited Erica and he gave her the hourglass and everything else. Jaemeel, reactions to this ending?
I already told you. I think it's dumb. It's dumb, right? Like Jeff making his appearance. I'm like, are they sending her home? Did they find out that she like tax evasion and that's how she's kicked out of the game? Like,
sorry, no Canadians. Sorry,
we found out that the Filipino government, you were never supposed to immigrate to Canada, so you were ineligible for the $1 million prize.
I just like, once again, I'm anytime I see Jeff, I'm expecting something to happen. Now, as I already mentioned before, in terms of this this special, ability, which I think is just terrible. I think it's a game ender. I believe Erica's not long for this game. Period.
Yeah, I feel bad
regardless
for
of what
her.
happens.
Yeah,
right. She does it, she's gone. She doesn't do it, she's gone. She's gone.
It's no protection. Like, I feel like if you were gonna give her this, she should have been exempt for a vote. And if you were gonna we already mentioned what they should have done. She should have been able to. It should have been the extinguisher.
Yeah,
she should have been able to extinguish all advantages in the game. And I would have loved that, because imagine Shan, just imagine she would have lost her mind.
Yeah,
she literally would have lost her mind. And I think it would have been great, because even Xander and all that stuff that they're setting up here, where Leanna's probably gonna. Who do you think Leanna's gonna steal the advantage from? Do you think she's gonna steal from Nasir or Xander?
Xander.
I think so too, because I think Xander's more gullible. He's more like, what?
Yeah. You don't have to trick him though, do you?
You do at tribal. You basically all right. So the way it works is, she has to ask Xander or Nasir or whoever else has an advantage at tribal, hey, do you have an advantage? And if they answer yes, she gets to take that advantage from them. If they answer no, I believe I don't know what the
I thought it was that they have to give it to her.
They have to say yes. They have to answer honestly. If they have it, she can get it. If they don't have it, it doesn't work and she loses her opportunity.
Wait, I thought it was they didn't have to answer honestly.
No,
I think Jameel's right about this. I
think they have to. They have to. They're
like Jeff would say, you must answer this by the rules of the game.
That's why I thought
that.
That's why I thought it was a strong advantage, because let's say you're deadlocked and there's a possibility that the person you're going to vote for has an immunity idol. So even if you aren't able to pull the immunity, you're checking good. Even if you aren't able to get the immunity idol, you can tell for sure if this person, you can vote them out, and therefore you have that ability. The only problem is you kind of out who you're voting for, and someone else who has the idol can play it on that person as a way to screw with people. That's how I thought the flexibility of this thing is.
Always something new, and it's never easy. You have to work hard to get it, but that is why I'm here.
Don't you take Nasir's idol. You better not take it.
Here's what I was hoping to happen, and I'll go with my idea, which is the turn back time ability removes all the current advantages. So the advantages that exist, because it's merge, is one. And then the next episode after the vote, everyone's scrambling to look for it. And when everyone does that, everyone's like, I thought we were part of the team. Aren't you going to tell me? Like, it just creates chaos, right? And that's what we want. We want people to like, does he have it? I don't know. Did he find it? I don't know. Everyone knows where everything is, I feel. And that is the problem in this game, right? It limits movement.
Okay, but this actually might work out, okay? Because here's what could happen, guys. Tiffany now knows what that advantage is. Mm-hmm. You're correct. That is actually the advantage. She can ask, and they have to tell the truth.
And then she can take it from them.
But Tiffany now knows, right, what that advantage is. And she doesn't really trust Leanna, right? So what she should do is go to Xander and tell him what Leanna has.
She won't.
Give me the idol, Xander. When she asks you, you will be completely honest. I don't have it. Tiffany has it. That's what you do. That's how you get around that.
Yeah, I don't think Tiffany's going to do that. I think Tiffany's just wanted that information and forced it out of Leanna, and she probably just heard her game here. But what I'm trying to figure out is if you were Erica and we said what this should have been, but it was. This is what it is. So she has the choice to flip this, what the challenge happened. And so that the tribe that won, the Deshaun and Evie and all of them, they would lose that immunity. You can't pull that feast out of them. You can't undo that part, Jeff. I don't know how you were gonna to do that part, but they would have to compete, and then the other 5 would be safe, like Xander and Heather and all them,
all the women.
Yeah, Erica has no reason not to do this, but does she have enough reason to do it? Like what's the benefit if she does this? What does she lose?
If she's aware that the men are gearing to get rid of a woman, right? You do it, because that means she would be a part of the safe tribe. She doesn't have to compete, right? And there's only one woman on the other tribe, and that's Evie, and she would have to get voted out.
And Evie's gonna go home.
Would Nasir lose his protection?
Yes, but he doesn't like it. He does lose his protection.
He also has an idol.
He also has an idol, but I doubt people are gonna vote for him.
Like, okay, so let's go through that. Let's say she smashes it. It switches. Okay, it's a 6-person tribe. Okay, that goes to tribal. So,
but everyone votes a tribal. Everyone gets to vote.
Everyone votes a tribal.
Oh, everyone votes.
Yeah, everyone votes a tribal. But 6 have to compete in the individual immunity,
and only 6 will be vulnerable to be voted out.
Yes.
So you're telling me there will be only
5.
There will be 5 people that will be vulnerable to be voted out.
Yeah, if I guess or 6 if Nasir would be included, right?
It'll be 6. No, it's 5 because one of the 6 would win an individual immunity.
That is crazy.
Right. So therefore, unless Evie wins, Evie will get eliminated.
They're ruining the merge episode. That's what this is. They've ruined the merge episode.
They turned it into a two-parter.
The best part about the merge episode is the tribal council and watching all these people come together and have to figure out who the frick to vote out, and then none of them know each other. And like we saw the moment today, hey, how you doing? Hey, it's great to see you. Oh, I'm really surprised that they said, hey, how you doing? You know, like they always do this moment, and I'm always like, what? They haven't seen anybody else. Of course they're gonna be happy to see you. Like, what? Like, so yeah, I don't know. I think they're ruining the merge episode here, guys. I don't know about you.
What is do you think my strategy is sound?
Say it again.
Erica, do you think my strategy is sound? Because I don't think Erica does not want to put herself in a position where she has to compete for individual immunity.
Why would she go? All right, she smashes it.
But she'd be protected if she does this, right?
Wouldn't she? Because she's part of the other tribe.
Is she?
Isn't she? It's 6.
She's not. 6. She's a Grey Rock. She's not part of either tribe.
I don't think she is. Is she eligible to be voted out?
My guess is no. I think that Nasir and Erica are both protected either way because they didn't compete in the challenge, right? So it was about only the people who lost that challenge are vulnerable. And therefore,
I don't know. I think Nasir, because he was picked to go in that merge fees, is different.
He's safe. He's safe currently. So if it flips, he wouldn't be safe.
And she would be then.
Is that what's happening?
That's what I figure.
This is what Jeff Probst, stop talking to the camera and explain the goddamn game, because this is getting ridiculous. Like, you know, like I'm having to look up Reddits to figure out what's going on your show, you know?
Right. But if you're Erica, do you do it?
Jeff? I do it anyway because Jeff Probst wants me to.
Yeah. He came out to that. He got on a boat and he came right to me.
Yeah. Jeff, ultimately, that's the answer. That's the correct answer.
I am almost.
You're not in an advantageous position. You do whatever Jeff wants you to do, so that you can, one, be okay, and two, possibly okay, and two, you want to protect yourself just in case you want to come back too.
I agree with everything you guys have said, and I think there is a high chance she will not use it. She will not do this. I think she's just too scared. I don't think that Erica is a bold player. I think Erica realizes she's on the bottom of this Luvu group, and she hates it. She's really struggling. I can see it, and she wants to fit in.
She's not bonding with them, and I do think we're Canadians, and I do think that is in her head. I think the fact that she's playing with all these American players, and look, our cultures are not that different, but I do think in her head that she's an outsider, that she's a first timer in a way, I think she's kind of like, I think you're right, Dave. She's nervous. She's shy. She doesn't know how to play her game. Because she's not really bonding with anybody. And I think that has a little bit to do with the fact that she's Canadian and that she's like a little bit of fish out of water here in this situation. So I think if she bonded with just one player, I think that would break all that. But I just don't think she's had that on the Luvu tribe.
Right, because when she does this, she's going to make enemies with Deshaun, who she doesn't get along with anyway. Danny, the threat of threats, Sydney, right? Evie and Xander, who she doesn't know. Not Xander, Rickard. I'm sorry, Evie and Rickard, right? So those five would go, oh man, like you screwed us. We won that challenge, and we got to eat the charcuterie, but we're vulnerable to get voted out, right? But on the other hand, like the other five would be thrilled with Erica, right? If you're Tiffany or you're Shan or whoever, or especially Heather, probably. You don't have to compete. Who is she on the show? I just think Erica has strategically speaking, she should do it. There's no real downside. The downsides do not outweigh the positives, but she won't do it. I think she's too afraid because she hasn't bonded with anybody and she wants to fit in, and this has not gone well. And she's been out here for 2 weeks, and especially 2 days of living on this island, that's only going to exaggerate her feelings of isolation and loneliness. And so I saw the look on her face in the preview. I don't think she's doing it.
I think that was a red herring, Dave.
The red herring, she's doing it?
I think she's doing it. I think they want you to think that.
Because the next week, Jeff, like we said, the episode's name is There's Going to Be Blood.
I think she should do it just to cause chaos. Like if she's in any way a fan of the game, which I think she is, I think she should do it because she knows you're right. She's on the bottom. She's shy. She doesn't. She's gotta play kind of the Michelle Fitzgerald. She's got to play that game where she just kind of lays under the radar and then pounces right at the end. She's kind of like taking the genie role. That's got to be her game. And she said it today. If I didn't have this fire to tend, I don't know what I would do. And I think that's gonna kind of focus her to kind of what she needs to do here in this season. I think she needs to be a little bit of a fire tender in the action, get people to come to her because she's not good at going to people. And I think she needs, like, if she reflected in these 2 days and really thought about herself within this game, I think that would really be a great way for her to look at it. I have her in the draft and I have Deshaun, and I would pick, honestly, right now, like I kind of see Jameel's point, but I think Erica will go farther than Deshaun.
Yeah, we'll see.
Site went down.
Jaemeel.
Yeah.
Is there any chance Erica goes farther than Deshaun?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
No.
Knew you were gonna laugh at me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You honestly
I said
think
that. I think
Okay.
if there's a chance, yes.
Depending
And
on the other group feeling indebted to her, including
Yes.
Xander.
Yes, and I do think that at the end of the day, if she can survive the first 2 votes here, where right now she's on the chopping block, nobody's coming after Erica. Once Danny's an option, Deshaun's an option, Evie's an option. You know what I mean? Like Erica is gonna, I think, do pretty well if she can just get through these first couple of votes.
Okay, I can see that. Especially with the worst thing that you can do is openly say that you're afraid of a women's alliance, because what ends up happening is you put it in people's head that, hey, yeah, there is a lot of women. We should just team up, right? Especially when you have older women like Tiffany and Heather.
Mm-hmm.
Who? I was expecting Dave to go. Who?
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 Is there Heather on the show?
Right? They're not winning individual immunity when you have Deshaun and Danny there. No
and
way,
Xander.
and Nasir. No way in hell. So
yeah,
like,
those 4 guys are definitely the prime targets to go home early in this merge. Danny's number 1.
Yeah.
You think he would be? He should be.
Should
yeah.
be.
They're like, I like how Pros is like, probably the most athletic member of this group, like is in Danny. I'm like, probably.
He's the most athletic person, I think, to ever play Survivor.
John Hennigan. John Hennigan, maybe.
Handsome Joe was up there.
Yeah. Ozzy.
Yeah.
Those 3. John Hennigan is like 1, a pro wrestler. 2, like he does parkour. Like the dude is a genetic.
John Hennigan. What season was he?
Heroes versus Hustlers versus. No, I think it's David versus Goliath. David versus Goliath. He's a wrestler. He wrestles under the name John Morrison.
Oh yeah.
He was on the 37th season, which was
the dude
David versus Goliath.
Yeah,
he's
jacked.
The
he was
dude
the
is
Goliaths.
he is hair, teeth, and abs is what this dude is.
Yeah, like let me bring him in here. I mean,
and that's not his like regular physique. That's him gaining weight for Survivor physique.
Right, but when we talk about athleticism, it's not just like your abs and your muscles. It's also about your ability to just compete in things. And you just see it in Danny. Danny does it with such ease.
The dude wrestles like 300 and like.
I'm not
40
taking
days.
anything away from wrestling, but I think a pro football player would have something on.
Wrestling is one thing, right? Like I'm not saying you're taking away from wrestling. For football, yes, the athleticism needs to be high, but like. It is spurts. Yes. It is practices, and it is like contact, right? This is every single day that you work right? You are in a physical situation where you have to go, not by just like impact, but by performing one after the other. Different city, perform. You're minimal sleep and you have to perform.
I mean, you could
Right?
say that. You could say that about NFL players. They go to different
They
cities. You know?
once a week they have a
Right.
big game, and then there's practice. The practices could be intense,
Yeah.
but they're not practicing every single day.
That's fair. That's fair. I think I see your point of John Hennigan.
I
sure.
just and I want to be very specific. I don't mean all wrestlers, right? I'm not talking about all wrestlers when I'm talking
Mick Foley?
about right. Right? I'm talking
Yokozuna?
about I'm talking about this dude in particular. This dude in particular is a beast, insane beast in terms of being agile, being strong, being extremely flexible, and like he is like if we were choosing all timers and I just wanted someone who can just gut through challenges, he's my number one pick.
Yeah, like fair enough, and like I think obviously Ozzy, Handsome Joe, and
Yeah.
I think Danny is now in this conversation, but we need to see a bit more from Danny in terms of comp dominance for I think us to really remember him after this year.
Puzzle comes, he's done.
I mean, if you're gonna go comp dominance in Survivor history, I mean, Boston Rob. I mean, it really.
Boston Rob, and there was the firefighter guy and the younger guy, Tom, firefighter Tom, and there was
he played one season, and
but the guy who was like his runner up there or the third place.
Yeah,
guy.
he was better actually. I agree. Yeah, he was better at the challenges. But JT would definitely be one too.
JT.
But yeah, those type of guys for sure.
Danny's a Pisces, guys, just so you know. Well, our birthday's only 8 days apart.
That's what makes him great, I'm sure.
That's what makes him great. He's a fish, man. All right. I think we've said everything we can about this episode, guys. We're coming up an hour and a half. It was a lot for a cliffhanger. We sure had a lot to say. So thank you for staying with us. If you've been listening this long or watching this long, I know Mary has, and we appreciate you, Mary. And thanks to everybody out there who likes, subscribes, and shares this. We will be back in 1 week to talk about the next episode of Survivor and find out who got voted out of this merge and see what Erica does. That episode will be called There's Gonna Be Blood, and that will be on November 3rd. Next week as we move into the next month of the show. Also, check out our other content here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. We got the Marvel podcasts. We're going to be doing one for Eternals. I think on November 7th or so is what we're hoping to do that one on. And we did a bunch of other ones earlier this year, including WandaVision, Falcon the Winter Soldier. We did Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So if you like Marvel, we talk about that stuff. We also did Big Brother, as we mentioned. If you like Big Brother and you haven't watched the seasons from this year, and then we've kind of spoiled them completely in this episode, check them out. We have companion podcasts to go with each one. And we talk about other shows like Westworld, The Serpent, Tiger King, different things.
We're going to do Squid Game too, Dave.
Squid Game. When are we doing Squid Game, Jeff?
I don't know. We'll figure out a time.
Tiger King 2.
Tiger King 2 is coming up. So we talk about all kinds of shows, scripted and unscripted, here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting. Plus, we have two other channels. One is called Live Long and Podcast, and that's a Star Trek themed channel where we talk about new and old Star Trek, including Monday nights. We talk about Star Trek, the original series. We've been on a mission to watch every original series episode, not in order, with our dad, Ted. We're almost done. We got 3 left. Check that out next Monday night. We'll be on at 10 p.m. Plus, next Tuesday, we'll be continuing our mission to watch every episode of Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine in order. Moving into season 4, we just talked about Sons of Moog last night, and we talk about the episode Bar Association next week. And starting tomorrow, we're going to be talking about the new Star Trek show, Star Trek Prodigy, which is the Nickelodeon children's show, which probably is not meant for me, but I'm going to watch it because it's Star Trek and it's Live Long and Podcast, and we're going to cover it. So that's just how it is. So check that out. I'll be on there tomorrow night with Davin Skellhorn, our cousin, who's the host of his own podcast called Locutors of Trek, another Star Trek thing. Throw up the logo, Dave. Ooh. Oh, it's on the other brand. I gotta do this. Oh, no, we'll change to red. There he is. So there it is. Check out Locutors of Trek. Okay, back over to Superman Brothers podcast. Okay, and then and finally, our third channel is called Trivial Debates, and that's a monthly show where we argue about movie, TV, sports, and more in kind of a game show format. How do I go full screen? Full screen mode, and I just want to bring in my just to show who will be on this Sunday morning, a Halloween themed episode.
Ooh,
spooky especially. Let's bring this in. Boom. We are going to have, I'll be hosting for the first time in a long time, and we're going to be having
Rajesh Cuddy.
Rajesh. Every time I say his name, I'm like, you're like,
just say Raj. I know
Raj.
He's a hell of a Trivioki player.
He sure is. And I think I've met him maybe in one of chat or something. I don't know. And then we got Adam Woodward, and also we have Davin Skellhorn, who I just mentioned from Locutors of Trek. So they're going to be competing. I'll get out the questions probably tomorrow and get the schedule in. But this is our.
It's gonna be great. I'm so excited for this. This
is something. These three don't know each other really, so well, certainly not in Raj's case. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see this all come to fruition. So
I think it's going to be great. It's going to be one of the all-time folks. Like if you're on the fence about checking out Trivial Debates, this is the episode to see.
This is it. I'm going to make it good. I better make these questions good, but there'll be Halloween themed, all of them, in some manner. Okay, I think that's it. My son's podcast, check that out. It's on Spotify. It's called Let's Talk About Fighting Games. I know
he's a Spotifyer.
He's a Spotifyer. Yeah, I was like, there's gotta be something I forgot. Okay, and with that, are we like Erica, ready to play like a lion, or is she gonna play like a lamb and not shatter that thing? I think we'll see next week.
She's gonna shatter it and then still play like a lamb.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. And on that note, we'll sign off and say good night. And Jeff, what do you have to do? Or Jeff Probst, what do you have to do if you're playing Survivor?
You gotta dig deep.
That's right. Have a good night, guys.